2026 will be remembered as the year where the world was completely reborn. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally, friends. A year where humanity begins this brand new 9-year cycle in numerology, after the most karmic, revealing, and destabilizing year we've had in decades, 2025. And if 2025 is the ending, 2026, of course, is the beginning. In numerology, 2026 is a one universal year, a year of rebirth, new leaderships, new technologies, new ideologies, and a whole new world structure. Hopefully not the new world order, of course. And astrologically, 2026 is absolutely explosive, friends. It's transformational, and it's revolutionary. Pluto is fully in Aquarius, Neptune enters Aries, Uranus continues through Gemini, and humanity begins to experience the first true wave of the Aquarian age. Today, we are going to step into the energy of 2026, the year that the new world completely begins. Let us start with the numerology of 2026, the year of birth and rebirth. Take the numbers 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, add them together, we come up with the number 10. 1 plus 0, of course, is 1, and that puts us in the one universal year. The one universal year is the first step on a new global path, the planting of seeds for the next 9 years. It's the birth of a new identity for humanity, a shift into independence and individuality, and the rise of leadership energies, innovation, invention, rebellion, and renewal to break the old ties, the claiming of a whole new direction. So in a 1 year, friends, the world becomes basically a blank canvas ready for a whole new creation. And I do warn, however, the things that are not ended and complete and the completions that didn't conclude in 2025 will have an abrupt sudden conclusion at some point in 2026. That includes the economy, of course, which we see so many ups and downs, but an abrupt change is about to happen in the economy. The one, again, is all about that blank canvas ready for a whole new creation, and that whole new creation is going to be a whole new economic system. We know it. We see it. We've been talking about it for many, many years. We were talking about it before anybody else even was talking about it. And here it's all been playing out over the past few years. But here's the key. A 1 year always follows, of course, the 9 year. So the endings of 2025. The endings of 2025 is the collapses, the exposures that we've witnessed, the breakdowns, and not separate from 2026's rebirth. Like I said, things that don't get ended like they're supposed to will be abruptly ended in the first part of 2026. So expect there to be abrupt changes and abrupt endings still taking place in the first part of 2026. Now, also 2026 rebirth is this whole new doorway that's opening up. Remember, the 9 year clears the field, clears the energy, clears the fields before the farmers go in and plant the new forest or plant the new seeds in the 1 year. That's what the one's all about. And that's what the globalists are going to do too. They follow these numbers. They follow the astrology. They probably even have their own team of psychics that work in those 3-digit agencies we know that exist. So they know that it's time to conclude things and start planting seeds. And they already started planting those seeds in October of 2025, which was a 1 vibration. They knew exactly what they were doing. 2026 is the genesis moment of the whole global chapter that's about to begin. A whole new global chapter that is about to begin. In 2026, we still have Pluto in Aquarius. And this is a global revolution that's going to begin. So let's talk about Pluto for a minute. It's the planet of power. It's the planet of destruction. And it's the planet of rebirth. Pluto fully enters Aquarius. Remember, it went back and forth, I think, into Capricorn, back into Aquarius. So it goes fully into Aquarius in 2026, and it's going to stay there for 20 years. This is enormous, friends. Huge. The true Aquarian age. Pluto changes signs every 20 to 30 years. And Aquarius, of course, is the sign of technology, humanity, revolution, innovation, collective movements, social uprisings, freedom, and the future. The future in that 1 year, too, at the same time. No coincidences. The divine creator aligned this all perfectly for us and for the planet. Every single time Pluto touched Aquarius in history, when we look back at history, it triggered massive revolutions. Starting with the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the fall of monarchies, the rise of human rights, the birth of modern society. 2026, it's going to be when the energy becomes active again, friends. So I would tell you to expect big, huge power shifts in 2026. Digital revolutions, people rising up against these outdated systems. Like I said, if it didn't end in 2025, it will abruptly come to an end in 2026. Technological breakthroughs that are completely going to redefine civilization. We already see this taking place with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is definitely going to redefine how we live our lives and how we go about our future. We're going to see exposure of corrupted power structures. We've already seen that happening, but even more so in the first part. January feels very significant for that. Massive social reorganizations and the beginning of a 20-year total world transformation that's taking place. Starting, of course, in 2026. It already started, but we're really stepping into it when it moves completely into Aquarius in 2026. Interesting times indeed. Beautiful souls, I just want to take a moment to welcome back to the Love Shack, baby. My name is Joseph Tittel, a.k.a. Spiritman JT, spiritual medium, here bringing you predictions and a preview of 2026. If you want to find the full in-depth forecast with stuff that you won't see on my other platforms, YouTube or anywhere, you can find out about that directly on my website, spiritmanjt.com, or down below in the newsletter, the most recent newsletter. I will be doing a private Zoom event on Sunday, December 14th. So sign up, be a part of it, help support the cause, help support the channel. I appreciate that. You can also support the channel just by subscribing. If you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with this awesome tribe that we're building, smash the subscribe, the bell, and all so that you get notifications. Also, be sure to hit that thumbs up love button, because that thumbs up love button shows the algorithms that you want more predictions to show up from other channels on your feed. It also helps boost the channel a bit. Another thing is after the show premieres, because we always do live premieres, a hype button will show up down below. Please, friends, hit that hype button. It gives the channel points now. It's something new from YouTube. We're going to see how that works out, but please do hit that hype button. Hype our channel up, friends. Hype it up. Sign up for the free newsletter below, and down below you'll find all the links to all my social media. And remember, if you receive private messages on any platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, it's not me. I do not send you private messages on those platforms. And if you want to leave comments or information for the channel, past predictions that come true, please leave them below in the comments. Do not send them on social media platforms, and definitely do not email them. Best place to do it is in the comments below on whatever platform you happen to be watching this from. And I appreciate all your feedback and all your love and support. And to all the members of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community and all the members of the YouTube community, I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Let us move on with this short preview of 2026. Neptune in Aries is another big one, and that's all about spiritual rebellion, friends. Another major transit that's going to be happening in 2026. Neptune leaves Pisces, where it's been since 2011, and enters into the sign of Aries, the sign of war, fire, courage, and individuality. That individuality with the Neptune and Aries goes hand in hand with the one vibration in numerology. Like I said, friends, there's absolutely no coincidences. What was it, around January 26th when it entered into Pisces? And then it will be in March of 2029 where it moves back into the sign of Aries, or moves into the sign of Aries. And friends, this is a spiritual and ideological explosion that's going to occur. Because remember, Neptune rules dreams, it rules illusions, truth versus deception, mysticism and spirituality, which we'll see taken off, we already do. It rules over disease, unfortunately. But that could be fortunate too. We could look at that at both angles. If it rules over disease, it could also bring in big breakthroughs with diseases and illnesses. It also rules over collective consciousness and the whole collective. And then we look at Aries. Aries is fire. It rules over fire. It rules over war, Individuality, once again, we keep seeing that theme in 2026. Conflict, new beginnings. Again, no coincidence there. Aries, they say the first sign of the zodiac. So all about new beginnings. Again, aligns perfectly with that one vibration. It's all about raw, primal life force. So together, and putting this together, this is going to bring this whole spiritual identity revolution that's going to take place, especially with that younger generation that's still desperately trying to find their way. We're going to see new belief systems going into place. Let's hope they're not psyops. You got to watch out for those. We'll talk about that on one of my Tuesday shows coming up. So make sure you tune in every Tuesday. We're going to see the fall of old religious structures, which we've been seeing the fall of things like Catholicism for over a decade. But we're going to see big falls of religious structures. We're going to see wars based on ideology and people's beliefs, and probably religion, like most wars are fought on. Religion and, of course, stealing people's minerals or oil. We're going to see the exposure of spiritual and medical deception. So this is where we see these big gurus and these cult leaders come into justice next year, where we see exposure of the truth. Just like I just talked about on my last Tuesday show, one of those spiritual people promoted by Oprah was found on the Epstein files. You know, Deepak, that guy. Of course he was. So we're already seeing this start at the end of 2025 in the 9-year. But wait until we get into March and beyond March of 2026. The exposure of these spiritual and the medical deceptions that have been happening coming to the forefront, friends. Coming to the forefront. Radical healing technologies are going to come into play next year. Amazing radical healing technologies. People talk about the med beds. That ain't nothing. That's nothing. That's going to be a forgotten past very quickly. Radical. Think of that word, radical healing technologies. We're going to see this rise when it comes to these intuitive warriors that are really, tapped in more than ever, especially again when we get to the real little ones we'll say that are 13 and under. That little generation there. Where also the rise of intuitive warriors brings along people who fight for the truth, of course. We fight for the truth here. That's why I should have over 100,000 subscribers, and I do not. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks for your love and support. So again, make sure you subscribe. And if I don't show up in your notifications, check to make sure you are still subscribed. So these intuitive warriors are going to step up. Again, these are people who fight for the truth. We see that happening, again, on a small scale in 2025, but it's going to be on a huge scale as we get into especially the summer months of 2026. Summer of 2026 is going to be wild, wild indeed. And the last time that Neptune entered Aries, it preceded the American Civil War, radical reform movements, the invention of photography, right? The invention of photography, what is that all about? That's all about revealing truth in a new way, right? Taking pictures, revealing truth the way it is, set in space, set in stone. Oh, my little crystal fell. We're going to see the invention of, besides the invention of photography, we had the birth of the new American identity, historic echoes. So it's really an amazing transit that's coming into place, and it's really going to add into that one vibration and that individuality of 2026. Uranus in Gemini is going to bring about in 2026 this whole communication reset. Uranus is the planet of chaos. It's also the planet of sudden changes. And when it moves fully into Gemini, the sign of communication, the sign of media, transportation, and of the internet. That's a big one. Internet's going to be a huge focus. That's why they're pushing that digital ID on us. They're going to make it in some countries. They're already doing it. I think in Australia, where you're going to need your internet ID, your digital ID, in order to access the internet. This would all come into place really strongly when Uranus is in Gemini, for sure. And that would be a global thing. Not only that, the loss of internet connections across the globe, which I'll go in my specific defined predictions that will be released in the coming weeks. Or again, you can join me on the 14th for my Zoom event. Again, information is down below in the description. This is one of the most defining energies, not just of the year, but of the whole entire decade, friends. And it started in July of 2025, and it's moving us all the way up to the year 2033. So it's a long progress. 7 years of tribulation, almost. Anyway, remember, Spirit always told me 2025 to 2032 would be the biggest shift for humanity ever in history. And we stepped into it last year. We're stepping into our second year of it in 2026. It's going to be interesting. Now, Uranus in Gemini also brings with it this total restructuring, again, of the internet. And I believe that restructuring of the internet is going to include digital IDs and more ways of tracking us and tracking everything. You're going to have some platforms like, we'll say, Facebook or Twitter, or well, I guess it's X now, requiring you to upload your ID to their servers, which to me kind of goes against our constitutional rights. But again, they're independent corporations and they can do whatever they want, especially if the government's behind them, pushing them for us to put our IDs into their system in order to log into our social media platforms. We'll see that restructuring happening with the internet in 2026. We're going to see this whole collapse of the media that needs to happen because the media is nothing but propaganda, mass media that is. So we're going to see media collapses and the whole reinventions that happen around the media. We're going to see new communication technologies that come about. So right now it's the cell phone, right? That's the biggest, newest in decades communication technology. Something bigger is coming. Something better is coming. Something more interesting is coming. And not only that, as we get, say, 15 years ahead, we'll be able to communicate more telepathically like they did in the Atlantean times. So that's in the future, especially for the little ones anyway. We're going to see new communication technologies and major, major breakthroughs, of course, in AI. But I also feel like there's going to be a lot of controversy around AI and a push for legislation and laws revolved around AI because it's moving too fast, too quick. Groundbreaking changes in transportation with new forms of transportation. That's also going to bring in space travel, which I'll go into again in detail when I put out different predictions. I'll put out multiple videos, otherwise it'll be a 4-hour video of predictions. So I'm going to put them out in all separate videos. Keep an eye out for them. We're going to see a lot of disruptions with satellites, and I believe and feel that a lot of those disruptions are going to come from even more solar maximum than we're already seeing right now. I'm recording this video on December 4th, 2025, and we've been seeing major solar activity over the past few weeks, since November 11th to be exact, just as I said in my predictions, and it's happening. So this is going to cause major satellite disruptions in 2026. We're also going to see we're definitely going to see cyber events like cyber attacks and cyber resets. A lot of propaganda wars. This is what's going to bring down the media, the propaganda wars between different media channels pushing the wrong propaganda, and there's going to be a lot of miscommunication with that. It'll be really interesting. We're also going to see new education systems going into place, as needs be. We're already seeing the education system shifting and changing here in the United States, and in the United States, more and more people are choosing to homeschool their kids. I see more of homeschool communities that are going to build. Whereas like in your neighborhood, or in your town, one person decides to homeschool their kids, and it's kind of almost like babysitting, I babysit my kids but homeschool them at the same time. So that's what we're going to see, where babysitters become more of homeschoolers as well. And of course, the governments in certain places are going to fight for that because they don't want you to be educated with their system to keep you enslaved. It's not going to work anymore. Remember, we're moving into the Aquarian age. We're already basically technically in and out of it, but we step deeply into it in 2026. And historically, Uranus and Gemini aligned with World War II. Does that mean World War III is coming? It aligned with radar and communication breakthroughs, nuclear intelligence, D-Day. How can we forget D-Day? That was aligned with it. And the invention of new transportation systems. So I would tell you to expect information wars, digital revolutions, and a complete restructuring of how humanity communicates. It's actually quite exciting. I can't wait to the high-speed railways, and we don't have to take 10 hours to travel across country. Well, I mean, that's exaggerating. 8 hours to travel across country, where we could do it in half the amount of time. That's coming in the next few years, and the beginning of that's going to ignite in 2026. How is all of this going to play out on the world stage? What things do I predict for the coming year? Well, for starters, tons of political upheavals and new leaderships going into place. 2026 brings with it new leaders that rise suddenly out of nowhere. Out of the woodworks they come. Some, again, are going to be pushed into place by globalists and globalist elite. But remember, if you watched my interview with Shaman Puma in Peru, he talked about new leaders that held the light, worked from the heart center, that are coming into play. And it may not be leaders of the countries, but it'll be leaders like mayors, governors, town council people rising up. That's exciting. New leaders that are in more of a heart space, exactly what we need. Old political systems are collapsing, and they are really going to collapse when we step into 2026. We're going to see this whole reorganizing of governments. We're going to see youth activism gaining global power. The youth is going to become very active. They are in many countries. I mean, look at the protests and things that are happening. Where was it recently? There were so many. We'll say Mexico. With the younger generation stepping up and really, Gen Z? Yeah, that's definitely youth activism gaining global power for sure, friends. And we're also going to see surprising alliances that form. Very surprising alliances. People fear China, but I feel like big changes are happening with China, and that leader is going to fall out of place in some form or another. I see a splitting happening of China, not necessarily in 2026, in the coming years. And there's going to be surprising alliances that happen with China. So don't rule that out either. And we're going to see this new ideology landscape all being put into place in 2026. Some countries will undergo complete and total political rebirth. Secondly is going to be the financial reset that's going to begin to take shape with Uranus, again, shock, moving into Gemini, and Pluto reshaping collective systems. I tell you to expect new currencies, as I've been predicting for a long time now. And it's all coming into place, friends. New currencies, and we know that it's going to be digital money systems. Digital money systems are going to collapse first before they actually put in legislation, make sure they're able to tax your cryptocurrency. That's another big one. You want to make sure they get their money, the government. We're going to see banking innovations, and that's going to happen, banking innovations after many small banks begin to close and fall. The downfall or restructuring of major institutions, including universities, that comes to mind. Downfall and restructuring of major institutions and universities. Education, there's that education theme again, friends. We're going to see a rebalancing of global financial power. The old money system is not going to survive anymore. We know that. And the next decade, it's been unchanged. It's changing. The fiat is going to be history. Look at Trump just did away with the penny. Save your pennies, friends. Don't cash them in. Some of those pennies are going to be worth a lot of money in a few years. Some of them won't be worth crap. Some of them are going to be worth a lot of money. Hold on to those pennies. I say hold on to all your change because they're going to do away with all change eventually. That's the goal. That is their goal, to do away with it all, to make you locked into their digital system, which could be really convenient, but it also could be even more convenient for the globalists and the government, where they could just take what they want out of your account whenever they want. That's part of their plan. That's why we need the younger generations especially to rebel against this, even though a lot of them are for it, and they're all ready to put that little chip in their hand or in their forehead, but not all. Remember, we are still in a time period of great awakenings happening. And more awakenings are happening right now as I'm recording this on December 4th with all these sun flares and light codes that are coming in. It's opening up, especially those that are willing to meditate and absorb those codes and focus on the heart center. Another thing with the global economy, and I'll go deeply into detail with this in my predictions, world predictions for 2026, so keep an eye out for that. I told you to invest in silver back in 2020. If you would have listened to me back then, you bought a lot of silver. Even if you bought silver a year ago, it's up 70%. That's a lot. That's a lot. Hold on to that. Silver is going to be important. People think it's gold, gold, gold. Nope, it's going to be silver, 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 as I said 5 years ago. Something to definitely keep a close eye on. In 2026, friends, expect there to be a whole overhaul and restructuring of both the global internet and communication systems all across the globe. It's going to be really interesting. We have the Uranus in Gemini, and we have the Pluto Aquarius. That brings about all kinds of digital outages, especially during those windows of the Mercury retrograde in 2026. So I always give you 3 months, and this isn't my world predictions for 2026, but I'll put it out there now. 3 months out of the year that are going to be the most intense, and they're always during the Mercury retrograde. So that's going to be the very end of February, the very last few days of February, but pretty much the whole month of March of 2026. Then the very end, last few days again of June, but the whole month of July of 2026 will be a total crap show. And then the last one's going to be the very end of October and the first half of November, kind of like it was sort of like this year with the retrograde cycles. But during those time periods would be time periods to especially expect there to be issues when it comes to the internet and any kind of communication systems. That includes platforms like X, Facebook, Meta, whatever. We're going to see a lot of satellite failures, and not even just in those windows, but throughout the whole year. Expect next year to be kind of a big glitchy year when it comes to electronics as far as these digital outages occur. Your cell phone going out or what have you. This is going to bring in new global communication systems. This is when they're going to look at things and they're going to say, well, yeah, we need to do this now. We need to do that now. Of course, they'll do something with digital ID where they'll say, oh, well, now we need to do this. Of course, that's how they do it, of course. But at the same time, things are naturally shifting. Remember, it's the one vibration. It's when new things happen. So therefore, we're also going to see not only this reshaping of all these systems and such, we're also going to see this whole big breakthrough that takes place around these systems. AI is going to be one of them. Big breakthroughs in AI. AI is going to cure diseases, and they're going to try to keep that from people, but they're not going to be able to. AI's got a mind of its own. They can't control it like they can control our minds. They think they can, but they cannot. So, and then again, when we have satellite failures and digital outages, they're going to try to come up with a cure, something to help fix it. Some of these fixes will be really good and really positive. We're going to see, again, whole new global communication systems going into place. I wouldn't doubt that what they push out last 5 in the letter G, don't be surprised if we see 6 next year pop up. Now we have to push the 6G system, a higher, better communication system. We're going to be doing a lot more communications through satellites in the future. It's already beginning, but 2026 is really going to introduce that very, very strongly. We're going to see decentralized networks that gain prominence. And then we're going to see also battles when it comes to citizenship. When it comes to citizenship, and we've been seeing that. Remember, it's the collapsing of the systems in 2025. But as we step into 2026, it's going to be, these battles are going to continue, and they're going to be big battles when it comes to people's censorship. Censorship, free speech. But citizenship did come out of my mouth, so it'll be a fight against citizens. And we see that with the, immigrants coming into different countries and places. We see it in UK. We've seen it here partially in the United States, where people were fighting against, mainly those that are not in these lands legally. So citizenship will be a battle. But it's going to be a bigger battle when it comes to censorship, free speech, and information control. And they're going to lose control, they being the globalists, global elite, and governments, they're losing control of that information. That's, again, where the digital IDs come into play. That's what they're pushing. Digital IDs will also track all your money and everything else. We need to really step up against that and make sure that there's something physical backing things up, especially when it comes to money and the economy. 2026 is a year overall when it comes to communications and internet. It's when it all changes forever, friends. All changes forever. 2026 is also going to bring with it big social movements and collective revolts. People revolting against the system, friends, because we have, again, Neptune and Aries, the Pluto Aquarius, and the Aquarian age. That's going to bring about, we've seen protests. They're not showing them in many mass media outlets, whether it's here in the U.S., Canada, or wherever you may be tuning in from. We're not seeing it. Like the most recent was Bulgaria. Huge, massive protests. We saw it recently in Mexico. All over. That was in my predictions for 2025. And it's been quite a year when it comes to protests, more than we've seen, I believe, in my lifetime. It's going to only get better when we step into 2026. People stepping into their power. Remember, the one's about our individuality. It's about taking our power back. I did a great meditation. I think it was 2024. I think the video is called Calling Your Power Back in 2024. You can utilize that. Now would be a great time to utilize that video as we step into this new year in the one vibration of individuality. Call your power back. because that's what the one's all about, people stepping back into their power. So in turn, these social movements are going to bring about major protests. Unlike, we sell a lot, but wait till 2026, friends. This is where people across the globe all come out at the same time, especially July, the summer months. I'd say June, July, August, but July pops out at me really, really strongly. We're going to see civil unrest in many countries, especially on the African continent. We're going to see human rights revolutions taking place, ideological battles, and cultural polarization, cultural polarization, friends. It's going to be really interesting. 2026 is a year where people demand truth. They demand truth, transparency, and the freedom that we were all born and supposed to be born with, but never really fully received. But we will in this next 9-year cycle coming up. 2026 is going to be an amazing year when it comes to technological breakthroughs. So I would tell you to expect radical medical discoveries that take place, ones that no longer can be suppressed. Remember, these walls and veils have been tearing down in 2025, which means as much as the globalists want to hold things back from us and the billionaires and all their little friends, they're not going to be able to do it anymore. And these radical medical discoveries are going to be more based around natural medicine and natural healing. We're going to see a return with this energy of spirituality taking over in 2026. We're going to see this whole return of the ancient practices. We already, again, see it a little bit, but it's going to skyrocket to the point where we're going to see platforms, especially platforms like the double T, TikTok, suppressing this information, deleting it. And TikTok's turning out to be the worst one when it comes to suppressing stuff and deleting people's content. You know how many of my videos they striked and deleted on my TikTok page already for predictions? It didn't happen on other platforms, but it happened on there. So we're going to see, that's where this information battle comes in that I just mentioned. And this fight against the propaganda and this fight against truth being revealed. They can't hold it back. So again, technological breakthroughs that bring radical medical discoveries, AI, human integration we're going to see, which creeps me the hell out. I don't know about you, friends, but we're going to see it. AI, human integration. We'll see it first with, people with AI controlled hands. Well, we see people with hands and stuff, but you'll see. It's going to be creepy. We'll see big breakthroughs with Elon Musk's, brain chip. It's already started, but it's going to be big in 2026. We're going to see new inventions when it comes to transportation. Like I mentioned earlier, like high-speed travel that takes us across country in half the time, or maybe even less than that. We'll see this mainly in other countries, especially China is going to have major transportation inventions, and Japan. Those two areas are two countries to watch very closely when it comes to major inventions and technological advancements and breakthroughs in 2026. We're going to see a lot of space-related events. I expect my world predictions, when I put them all together, is going to be a lot about space and the skies and what's happening above. We're going to see new energy technologies, and together we can hold it in the light and create that timeline shift where we are in a free energy realm and planet. Because we already know they have it. We already know they had it all the way back to the time of Tesla. And now they have stuff even better. They need to release that. It would really cure so many issues, including their so-called carbon thing, which is interesting because, all the trees and all the forests live on the carbon. That's what they breathe in, interesting enough, but they want to take it all. Wait, there's too much. Really? Let the trees and plants tell us that, not the globalists or the WEF. We're also going to see communication tech that we've never seen before, ever before. Communication technology that's just what pops into my mind. You see like on The Simpsons where the 3D pops out of your phone and you're like talking to people three-dimensionally. That kind of comes to mind. So maybe we'll see breakthroughs with that. This is literally, friends, 2026 is the dawn of the true technological age. In the one vibration of 2026, it also brings along with it this amazing spiritual awakening where it peaks like never before. We've seen people awakening. People are becoming more aware of things than ever before in our history. It's quite exciting. And really, if we look back, it started since 2012. During the turn of 2012, solstice of 2012, mainly from 2013 to now. But now spirituality is going to peak, the spiritual awakening. That's what the one is. It's about birthing things. It's about new spiritual identities, this push for, of course, truth. And we're going to see a collapse when it comes to these false gurus and these false prophets and false institutions. And that's kind of a funny thing, too. Someone said that there's always one that wanders in every once in a while, troll. False prophet. Prophets, apparently you don't know. People that say that just crack me. I'm a psychic. There's nothing prophet. Prophets, false prophets, are those who preach the false gospel of Jesus Christ. So know your Bible, friends. Know your Bible before you leave those kind of comments. But there's a push for truth, friends, and a collapse of these false prophets in institutions and religious institutions. We're going to see so much corruption coming out of churches, synagogues, especially synagogues, and mosques and so forth. It's going to be really interesting. We're going to see hopefully people like Joel Osteen being called out for their corruption. There's going to be a rise when it comes to your intuition and the gifts that come with that intuition. All the senses, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, hearing, feeling, seeing, sensing, all those things. The collective consciousness is going to be accelerating like never before. And there's going to be new forms of meditation that come out, and I can't wait to my spirit guides to bring that out to you. There's going to be new forms of healing and metaphysics, new forms of metaphysics. People are going to feel more connected to purpose than ever before. Another thing that 2026 and the next decade is going to bring for us is something that's in so many prophecies, so many of my past predictions and visions. And even in that window of time that Spirit taught me about back in 2016, I put out a video of it, 2025 to 2032. The most intense time for the planet Earth and humanity in history, in our history anyway. And with that comes the big Earth changes. So in 2026, we're going to see weather anomalies and earthquakes and volcanic awakenings and sudden temperature extremes. Areas that are supposed to be warm will be cold, and areas that are supposed to be cold will be warm. We're going to see winter and summer mixing together, as is in the prophecies of No Eyes and Merry Summer Rain. I did a whole video on that. We're going to see, unfortunately, this coming water crisis, and I've been talking about water wars for many years now. These water wars are really going to begin to kick off. And the wars doesn't necessarily mean like on a battlefield war. Some of them will be. We're going to see dams being destroyed as a way of, again, posing war against somebody over the water and the rights to that water. We're going to see many places drying out in the summertime. It's going to be the hottest summer on record in 2026. This is going to add to the water crisis, especially in the Middle East. We're going to see this whole restructuring of our food supply, hopefully for the better, because we're finding out lately, like Campbell's soup and digitally printed fake meat, that's so disgusting to me. So the food supply restructuring needs to happen. Where's JF or RFK when we need him? Well, hopefully he'll be stepping up to the plate in 2026. But the one vibration is going to ensure that there's a whole restructuring that takes place. Not destruction, friends, but basically a reset. And, that's what the globalists want. They want their greatest reset, right? The Great Reset. Klaus Schwab even wrote a book about it called The Great Reset. That's what they want. They're trying to use these numbers to their advantage. But the thing that they don't have, that we all have together as a collective, is the ability to hold in the light the future that we want, not the future that they want. So, universe is asking you, what is it you want? Don't try to figure out how to get there. Instead, just hold that vision and know you're already there in the future. It's already happening. So how is 2026 going to affect you personally? All of us personally, the collective. Because 2026 is a year where we all become someone new. We have our personal numerology based on our birthday and the year we're in. So you add your birth month to your birth date, not the year, but just the month and day. And then you add that to the year we're in 2026, which is a 1. So that should be pretty easy to figure out. If I add up my birthday, 9 plus 2 plus 2, 9, 2 is 13, and then 3 plus 1 is a 4. I add that to the 1 that we're going into next year. I'm in a 5 personal year. And, don't ask in the comments, just look it up. You can look up the numerology calculator. It's that simple. So we can still use the universal number for the universe, which is the 1, to our advantage. And it's going to help us and affect us regardless, because we're all on this planet together and we're all bathing in that one vibration together. So 2026, again, is the year where you become somebody new, something completely new. It's about rebirth. So how are you going to feel? You're going to feel a bit of a rebirth of identity. You're going to see this spark of courage that ignites within you. You're going to find yourself having stronger desires for independence, because remember, the one's all about individuality. There's going to be a lot of creative breakthroughs that you're going to experience. You may already be experiencing them this month in December before we even close into that 1 year in 2026. Remember, that one vibration is all about new opportunities. So get excited. No, new opportunities are coming. You don't need to know what they are. Just get excited that they're coming, and that's how you activate it and make it happen. There's also a calling to step into leadership. You know, you may, whether that's in your home life, your career, business life, you may have this calling to do so. Or even this urge to just reinvent every part of your life. That's a good thing. Spirituality, of course, is even a bigger thing. So you're going to see that igniting. And with spirituality, you're going to see your intuition is going to strengthen in 2026. You see through deception much, much more clear. That's a part of the greater awakening, friends, where we just know that they're lying. You know, I always said I'm a walking lie detector test. Everybody I ever dated, I said, don't ever lie to me because I am a walking lie detector test. I will know if you are lying to me. But they still do. They still try, right? They still try to test you. Well, we're going to see right through the deception. People are already starting. But 2026 is a year we really, really look through to the deception. You're going to feel this deep shift when it comes to purpose and your purpose. You become the most authentic version of yourself that you can. And then on an emotional level, you're going to feel more empowered. It's an empowering year. Again, use it to your advantage. You may also feel more rebellious. We're going to see that with the younger generation, like we just saw them take over Mexico and the streets. You know, we're going to see rebellious. You're going to feel it. You're going to also feel more aligned, more spiritually connected, especially if you spend some time dedicating yourself to some meditation and that realm of spirituality. 2026 is not a year to play small, friends. It's a year to launch. It's a year to leap. And it's a year to lead. Just get out there and make the best of it. Overall, friends, 2026 is not just another year. Not at all. It's the birth of a new global cycle. The first chapter of this 9-year cycle that we're about to step into. Remember, in numerology, we go through 9-year cycles. 2025 is the end of the cycle. It's the conclusion. So this next 9 years is literally going to shape the future of civilization and the future of our entire planet. The world that we all knew, it's ending, friends. And I say new, not no, new, because it's ending. A whole new world is beginning to take shape. And you are not just witnessing it. We are all a part of the generation that was literally chosen to be here to build this. Remember, you chose to be here. This is the dawn. This is the rebirth. This is the beginning of humanity's next era. It's an exciting time that's ahead of us. Sure, it's not always going to be easy, but nobody ever gave us a promise that it was going to be easy. But you can make the best out of 2026 and that one vibration. Rebirth yourself as the whole entire planet Earth rebirths. Get excited for the amazing future that lies ahead. Beautiful friends, there you have it for just a little brief. This was just a brief look at 2026. I have very thorough predictions coming out as I do every year, and they'll be out before New Year's. My old tradition was every New Year's I did it live on my podcast. But now we're moving to YouTube, and I'm putting it out earlier, so it'll be out in several different videos. And remember, on Sunday, December 14th, I do a special live Zoom event if you want to support the cause and support and be a part of that. A lot of what I talk about is not going to be published on these platforms. So, you know, it's exclusive information. And once that Zoom event concludes, then I will start putting out the predictions and everything for 2026. So the week of after the 14th. Lots to put out, lots of information, and we even still have to do January's forecast. So remember, if you're new here and you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with this tribe, be sure to smash the subscribe, the bell, and all. And if you did that already, welcome to the tribe, baby. I guarantee you will not be disappointed here. We have an awesome tribe that we have built and continue to build together. Also, please do click that thumbs up. People don't realize how much time and effort goes into providing content. For all content providers, we greatly appreciate that you hit that thumbs up button. It also tells the algorithms you want similar content like this. So if you want to see more forecasts and predictions from other channels, you want to hit that thumbs up. Otherwise, you're not going to really see as much as you could be seeing. You never know what you could be missing out there, friends. And a big thank you to all those that support the channel. Whether you're a member of the tribe, a subscriber of this channel, or the other platforms, you can find all the links down below in the description. Open up that newsletter down below and subscribe to it. It's free. That has all the information I put out at the very end of the month for the coming month of the numerologies, transits, content, so that you don't ever miss anything. You don't want to miss anything. You miss 1 week, you can miss some really prominent, important predictions and forecasts and things that can actually help you flow through with ease and joy. Also, a big thank you to the Subscribe Star members. That link's also down below in the description, and those that are monthly supporters on the YouTube channel. And if you are on YouTube, down below you'll see the join as a monthly supporter. I thank you all with infinite love and gratitude, and those that contribute to this channel. I get to do what I love to do. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you in the very near future. I see that in my crystal ball. Don't forget to catch me every Tuesday for Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time. If I don't show up in your notifications, go directly to the channel to make sure that you are still subscribed. Until the next time, friends, remember, be bold, be true, be kind. Be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. Much love, friends.